Good afternoon. This is Amazon Jude coming to you from my war room in Wyoming. I've had a lot of emails and comments on some of my videos, and today's topic is after chemo is finished, what's next? Well, what's next is what a lot of us will have to do, and a lot of you will have to do, is you'll have to do radiation. Okay, radiation. I'm told is pretty much where they basically microwave the area that popped up with the cancer. Okay, so it's going to burn my skin. It's going to be probably very painful at times because there's 33 treatments to it. That's 33 consecutive days, 5 days a week for 6 weeks. And I'm not looking forward to that, but today I got marked with my spots, so they'll radiate from here all the way down to below where my boob was and up under my armpit, since the lymph nodes under there, 2 of them tested positive for the cancer. I really blew a gasket last week when I thought that I had to continue with 6 more chemotherapies. I don't think I could have done 6 more. I mean, they wreak havoc on your body. And like I said, I've lost 42 pounds. I weighed 212 today. And when I started this, I weighed 253. So add that up, 40 something pounds since January. I feel okay, and I'm glad I had the weight to lose. You can see it in my face. If you look back through my videos and stuff, I had a bigger, fuller face. It's thinner. I'm almost ready to fit back in my regular jeans, which I haven't been able to in a few years, because after I had my thyroid removed, it took a few years to get the right dosage for my body. And I'm about got it right now, and I'm watching what I eat. Probably should be eating a little more than what I'm doing, but food doesn't taste real good when you're sick. And today I had to tell 2 of my doctors, one just going to do the radiology and one that's been my oncology, that I had an MRI done on my back, and they found that L3 and L4 in my lower lumbar have crushed the nerves that lead to my feet and down my legs. That's why my feet keep swelling up. That's why they hurt. Even right now, they feel like they're on fire and gout because the nerves are pinched. So I think we worked it out to the point where I see the back doctor next week, and I'll have him, whatever he decides. If he can go in and fix it, then we're going to schedule it and go for it. And I'll do the radiation before, and maybe a week or 2 after, I'll start again, and then I'll continue on with the Herceptin. Okay, and the oncologist told me that the Herceptin isn't going to do me as bad as the chemo did, but there's still the touch of diarrhea that'll probably go with it. So I'll have to keep a lot of Imodium. I like the pills, the generic form. They work a lot better than the ones that I got from the oncologist. It just seems like they worked faster, they held better, and I didn't get quite so dehydrated so fast, which is probably going to be another big issue with this coming on. Diarrhea will be an issue. So I don't know. I hope I can get in and out of these chemo or radiation treatments without pooping on myself, laying on the table. It's a scary fact, but it's truth. Anyway, so we got me marked up. If the doctor wants to go in and fix my back and give me the relief I need in my feet, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Hopefully it'll be, fast. And from what I'm seeing on the internet and surgeries that I know of guys who's had their backs fixed, that's 26 years of throwing cases of beer. That's what happened to my back. I always worked like a man. I mean, even before I left Detroit, it came to Wyoming, I worked in the factories. I did sunroofs for Valaris. I was a welder, spot welder they call them, and my machine was as tall as probably my house, and it'd come down and it would stamp out my parts and burn them together. So anyway, I've always worked hard in my life, and my back is finally to the point where I can no longer function without having it repaired. And being that I'm doing this chemo and my radiation, and it's a lot to take on, but I think half of my bad attitude this last 4 or 5 months has been because my feet constantly hurt. I have to keep a bucket of cold water in my bedroom because my joints in my feet start hurting so badly that they're like on fire. And part of it was gout, and I think we've dealt with most of that for the most part. The swelling is down. My legs are back to normal size, but the joints are still very, very hurting. The nerves are, it's like an open wound on my feet. They feel like it when you rub them. It feels like you're rubbing salt into an open skinned knee or something. And that's the nerves. So I think my regular doctor was probably wrong with describing my pain in my feet as neuropathy diabetic, because I've kept track of my sugar the last, I don't know, month and a half, and it barely peaks above 150, 180 most times. And as long as I stay on my medications, my sugar level's 113, 125. Nothing to write home about. So I don't see where the neuropathy would come in with that. So hopefully we'll get that taken care of over the next month, and hopefully I make it through. I'm going to tell my anesthesiologist, yes, I'm still smoking. Yes, keep an eye on me and make sure I don't die. And I hear from what I watch on the internet, as soon as they're done with the back surgery, they get you up and moving around because of blood clots. I'm on this estrogen suppressor, so I'm going to have to stop taking that weeks before I go in for surgery, because it also has a blood clot issue with the drug itself, and I don't want to have anything work against me like that. I have never had a blood clot, and I certainly don't want to have one after back surgery. The doctor I'm getting is moved in with my surgeon that I've had for years, who's always done the work on me. So I figure if he's coming in with him, then my doctor must trust him. My surgeon must trust him fairly well to do a good job. So I have an appointment with him, and I'll do that. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to tell you about today. The journey's not over. Right now, oh, they did a PET scan today too, so we'll have the results here probably next week. If there's any cancer left up in my breast area, I met with the radiologist today. Very, very nice man, Dr. Tobin, and he explained it to me very well. Then I did the PET scan with the gal in the room, and hopefully everything's all right. I feel all right, you know, and I'm losing weight nicely, and I feel pretty good. Other than my feet, I get a little exhausted. Of course, I get up so early in the morning. I'm up, 5:30 in the morning. I'm feeding animals and loading the dishwasher and getting a load of laundry going. I felt like I can't continue to rely on everyone else to do my jobs, and that's the whole reason behind getting my back fixed. Is I've been down with this back issue for probably about 5 years, to the point where I can barely carry anything. And even sitting in this chair right now has my backbone on fire down by my buttocks because it's compressing so badly. So anyway, with that, I just wanted to say I do got to do 6 more infusions, but that'll be the Herceptin and the Progetta, and that's the little bug they put on your side here. It'll shoot. It's your day after chemo shot is basically what it is. And I didn't take that too bad, other than making my bones hurt. And that's, what this Herceptin is supposed to do is build my white blood cells and my red blood cells back up. So that's probably a good thing because they've been knocked pretty hard with 6 weeks or 6 months of chemotherapy. But anyway, I want to tell you I'm doing good. I feel pretty good. I'm starting to pay attention to our politics again. I do get excited sometimes and I cuss too much, but it's only because I'm sick of watching our country go down the toilet. The Democrats have no love for America. They have a love for themselves, the power that it possesses, and the money that they have. That's all they care about. They don't care about illegals. They don't care about abortions. They don't care about local politics. All they care about is themselves. I think that was pretty evident with Kamala Harris, Booker, Cory Booker, Gerald Nadler, Menendez. watch any of these guys in committees, and you will know. I think God said it once. You will know them by the fruits of their labor. And just watching these guys, I'm afraid for America. I'm afraid for my children. If we don't get these people out of office and get good, solid, God-fearing men and women in office, America is, no matter what Trump does, it's still not going to be enough. We've got 40 years of corruption to deal with. 40 years. We have not had a real president in decades. I mean, we've had pimps, we've had murderers, we've had rapists, and these people got into the White House. Think about that. And here we are again. Trump's not going to be around forever. And we're going to have to figure out who do we want to follow should something happen with Trump. Well, I've picked my dogs in that fight. Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, Louis Gohmert. God, there's probably a half a dozen good, solid Republican men that are moral that I would vote into office, whatever office they chose. Because I have watched them in committee. I have watched them on Senate floor hearings. I have seen them on television interviews. And you know what? They're the same people they are on those interviews that they are in the committee meetings and on the Senate floor. They don't change. The Democrats, those guys change to meet the audience. Whatever the audience wants. If the audience is going crazy and being disruptive, they're going to be disruptive. And you had proof of that with Kamala Harris and Booker the other day. In fact, yesterday in the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings. It's pretty sad when Kavanaugh had to basically send his kids out of the room for safety purposes because people were charging him. The one park shooter's father charged Kavanaugh. Now, what is that? Where were the D.C. police for that? Why weren't they up there arresting that man? He had no business charging Kavanaugh. I don't care what they say. I think that was a threat. I would have taken it as a threat. And if I would have been Kavanaugh, my bodyguard would have knocked that man to the ground and tackled him. I don't care. I know you lost your kid in Parkland shooting. But you need to talk to the Democrats about that. They're the ones that took the guns out of school and made gun-free zones. That was old Biden's big idea to take the guns out of the school, okay? Well, here in Wyoming, our teachers are armed. And you know what? We don't have school shootings. You know why? Because somebody tries to come in and do it. One of our teachers is probably going to blow them away before they get in the door. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hard times call for hard choices. And rather than see our kids getting murdered in school, why not let the teachers be armed? Why not have security guards armed? Why not in the big cities? Wouldn't you have a mini, wouldn't have a mini police station in a high school? Why not? They're acting like thugs. Why not treat them like thugs? Maybe if we catch them early enough in life, we can fix their screwed up brains rather than hide it. And that's what the Democrats did, is they hid it. They skewed all the numbers on how many times kids were disciplined in school for really serious offenses. We don't have that problem in Wyoming either. You know why? Because we have teachers that pay attention. We have students that are corrected and put into counseling when they're screwing up. So anyway, I'm gotten off on my politicking here, but Kavanaugh will be confirmed. I think Kamala Harris and Booker probably just shot themselves in the face. So did Nadler, Menendez, Hirono, the pineapple bitch from Hawaii. She shot herself in the face. She scares me because if there's a subject about something going on, she'll take you off in left field about something that has nothing to do with the subject at hand. She does it in Senate meetings all the time. She does it on the floor. She'll get up and they're talking about the border wall or something, and she'll get up and talk about illegal families who got turned down for food stamps. It's just, she takes you off in another direction. And I suggest you people look up Kamala Harris, how she grew up. She's a Heinz 57 mutt. Her mother was Indian, her dad was black, and somebody else was Jamaican. She's a Heinz 57 mutt. And she's thinks she's something special. She thinks she deserves to be in the White House. A junior senator who has never been in the practice of law, never tried a case in front of the Supreme Court, never had an office of her own, thinks she should be president of the United States. That should scare the shit out of all you guys. Don't we have enough lawyers? And I think we've had enough pimps in the White House, too. I don't think we need any more hood rats, either. And that's what Kamala Harris is. She's just basically a hood rat, like Michelle Obama. Phony, fake, self-entitled, arrogant. You know, it's amazing. You know, there was a founding father said this once: petticoats and politics don't mix. And you know what? I'm a woman, and I believe that. I don't think we need a lot of women in Congress or in the Senate or in the House. And I certainly don't think we're ready for one in the White House. They're moody, they're vindictive. They're worse than their male counterparts because women are ruthless. They're like wolves in high heels. And I think I'd rather deal with a man than deal with a woman. You know, and when I worked in the factories, I didn't hang out with women. I hung out with men. You know why? Because men don't stab each other in the faces like women do. Women are brutal. They're brutal. I mean, they'll screw their best friend's husband. You know, guys don't usually pull things like that, you know. But anyway, there's today's update, and I'm going to catch up on, oh, I want to send a shout out to Lindsey Graham. I pick on you all the time, dude, but yeah, you were right. If you want to pick the Supreme Court judges, win an election, I thought that was priceless. Jim Jordan, I love you guys standing up out there asking Trump to declassify the FISA warrants. I think this is exactly what we need just before the midterms. I think this would blow the Democrats right out of the water. It would show the contempt they have for the American people and our prosperity in this country. I think that we have a really good bunch of senators like Meadows and Jordan, and you know, I don't know what happened with Trey Gowdy, but it seems to me that maybe there might be some dirt on that boy somewhere, because he sure backs off and he won't attack crooks when he should be, you know, like Comey and Clapper. He stands by those guys. I don't know why he does. I wouldn't, but I suppose that's something to do with like the police, you know. Police always stand by their own. Doctors always stand by their own, whatever. But that mentality just simply isn't going to work in today's age. You have to stand for what's right, not for who you like. So anyway, with that, good luck, and I guess we'll wait and see all my results for my cancer treatment. And I guess we'll see Kavanaugh in October on the Supreme Court. And maybe we can fix some of these Democrats running to the judicial system to try to attack our president. And I think this is going to change a lot of things. I think we can appoint more conservative judges to as many courts as we possibly can, because we know the Democrats took this over 30 years ago. That was part of their plan, to take over the intelligence agency and weaponize it, to take over the judicial system and weaponize that against their enemies. And that's what they've been successful at. So you got to remember, we're fighting a really big uphill battle. And that's why it's important for us to get out and vote and make sure that we're vetting these people that we're voting for, and stop voting for the color of their skin. Vote for the contents of their character.
He's not going to answer that. Senator Blumenthal wants to talk about abortion and how he would rule in abortion cases. He's not going to answer that. And Senator Ted Cruz wants to know what he's learned from being his daughter's basketball coach. It's a nice question, but is it really germane? Number two, these hearings have become nothing but political grandstanding for political bases. On day one, you've got the outrage playoff between Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, seeing who can interrupt the most. On day two, you have Senator Schumer going to the Senate floor, using a rule no one ever uses to shut down the hearing. What happened? Senator McConnell simply shut down the entire Senate, letting the hearing go on, which means the hearings continued, but the rest of the Senate did nothing. On day three, even though we already have 500,000 documents related to Kavanaugh's past record, more than the 5 past nominees combined.
Jim Jordan, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. You know, when you look at the people that Ed mentioned in his report, Page and Strzok and Bruce Orr and McCabe, we got all the central figures in the insurance policy aspect of this.
Yep.
one has to wonder, is this now what, and Christopher Steele, one has to now wonder, is that where this is leading Jim Jordan?
Yeah, the first guy that Bruce Orr talks to after he meets with Christopher Steele is Andy McCabe.
Oh, Congressman Jim Jordan, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. You know, when you look at the people that Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, you know, when you look at the people that Ed mentioned in his report, Page and Strzok and Bruce Orr and McCabe, we got all the central figures in the insurance policy aspect of this. One has to wonder, is this now what, and Christopher Steele, one has to now wonder, is that where this is leading Jim Jordan?
Yeah, the first guy that Bruce Orr talks to after he meets with Christopher Steele is Andy McCabe. He calls him up a day or two later and then meets with him and Lisa Page. So all the key people at the FBI knew what was going on before they take the dossier to the court. They knew the Orr's involvement, they knew who paid for the dossier, and they knew that the guy who wrote it, Christopher Steele, had told Bruce Orr that he was desperate to stop Trump. And we don't believe they conveyed any of that critical information to the FISA court when they went to get the warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. That's why this is so important we get it. And they knew this all up front, right when it started in late July, early August. That's why this is so critical that this information become public.
And that's the point. If you got Page, Strzok, Orr, Steele, and McCabe, you got the whole insurance policy, Matt Gaetz.
And
I think there's more, boys.
You got the board of directors of the deep state together, Sean, and you know, I mean,
but they all hate Trump. Wait, the one thing in common, they all hate Donald Trump.
Andrew Weissman knew too, as well, Sean.
And he gets you're right, because well, let me just add one thing, because
Andrew Weissman is the fella in New York who's prosecuting Manafort and Flynn and all of that.
Is hearing from Christopher Steele over 70 contacts, and not only are they talking about firewalls not wanting to be exposed, but also, oh, did you get my stuff to the special counsel, which we now know a contact was Andrew Weissman.
And Sean, to put a finer point on what Jim had said, it's not the statements or words in these documents that we're looking for, it's the omissions. It's the information that is not presented to the courts. I mean, we caught the Orrs red-handed. You got Bruce Orr shuttling information to the FBI that was developed by his wife, and the money paying for it all came from the DNC. I mean, the Orrs are probably the most dangerous power couple in Washington since the Clintons were running around this place, and I think that until we get the information about what was presented to the FISA court, we won't know the full depths of the misconduct at the FBI and Department of Justice to inappropriately lie to a court, and I think that the penalties are just starting to rack up.
Well, then let's go to the issue that we now know grand jury's impaneled, Jim Jordan, and then the issue of unredacting by the president and declassifying by the president. Do we have any idea? We know witnesses are called. Does that mean that everybody that was involved in that phony, fraudulent, Clinton bought and paid for dossier, the fraud on the court, and information withheld purposely, more fraud on the court, is everybody that signed that now in legal jeopardy, perhaps?
We'll see. What we do know is the FBI and the DOJ had a sophisticated leaking project going on. Andrew McCabe lied about that, according to the Inspector General, 3 times under oath and faces a criminal referral. And as Ed pointed out, there's now a grand jury been impaneled on the Andrew McCabe issue. So this is what they did, I believe. They leaked information to the press, and then they used the reports the press wrote to buttress the false dossier to give it legitimacy when it was a false document.
This is one of the problems I have too, is the fact that when they do these committees and these hearings and stuff, you'll notice, if you watch them, I notice it all the time, and every time I watch it I get more mad at it. They enter into the record. They'll say, with this newspaper article from the Times, I want to enter it into the record, or this outfit, non-governmental organization, did a study and this is what they claim. Okay, and that stuff gets entered into the record, right? Which in turn makes it seem like it's legitimate. But it's not. It's not actual backed up by facts. The government's fingers are not over on it at all. And that's a big problem, because these documents are just opinion-based articles in newspapers. And they're being entered as though, the point I'm trying to make is, they're fucking with our history of our country when they enter into the record these false newspaper articles, these false statistics, letting non-governmental organizations take their studies of that. You know, I mean, seriously, think about it.
That was the game that was being played, and we know that from Devin Nunes' memo that the Intelligence Committee put out, where they cite news reports to add weight to the dossier. It was all baloney, this circular game they played. That's, I think, maybe the biggest concern that we see.